Hey, how's it going? Eddie Radosovich, your friend here. Welcome back to the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel. A great show lined up today with none other than Gerald McCoy. I mean, they've had great guests. Joe and Isaac have done an exceptional job getting the family business off of the ground. Brian Bosworth was awesome, but I think this one with Gerald McCoy, an all-time Sooner, reminiscing on the past, kind of a little bit of the future, as well as Oklahoma makes the move into the SEC. It's great. Wanted to stop down, though, talk to you about the promo right now we have for you, the YouTube viewer out there. Actually, this is a ridiculous promo because it's for 2 months. You get SoonerScoop.com, which has a lot going on right now. We're headed down to SEC Media Day at the beginning of next week, which obviously is going to be a big event as Oklahoma makes the move into the SEC. So promo code, all you got to do is go OU1, 2 months to SoonerScoop.com for $1. Now, without further ado, the family business this week with special guest Gerald McCoy. Here is Joe Castiglione Jr. as well as Isaac Stoops. It's a good one. You're going to enjoy it.
We now welcome 6-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first-team All-Pro, and 2-time first-team All-American, former Sooner, Gerald McCoy. Gerald, thanks for joining the show.
I appreciate y'all having me, man. How y'all doing?
Pretty good. Can't complain.
Yeah, tell us.
Excellent.
You just told us off camera, but tell us where you're at right now. You got a nice little foliage behind you.
Yeah. I know y'all wondering, like, okay, why does Gerald look like he's in the Hunger Games? It's because I'm in downtown Toledo, Ohio. My son actually transferred here, and my kids are over there in the splash pad. So if you hear a lot of screaming in the background, I'm at a splash pad with a bunch of children. So y'all got to forgive me.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
We'll let it fly. Congrats to him. We'll be watching the Toledo Rockets then. I'll put them on my schedule for watching. Yeah, cheer them on.
Appreciate it.
You're actually in Norman a couple weeks ago for the Champ U barbecue. Speaking to recruits, you're on a panel with a couple other former players. Just wanted to talk about what was your message to those recruits and their families? I mean, you're very vocal about your love for the University of Oklahoma, but what was your message to them and kind of what you told them what was special about OU?
Well, honestly, it was a collective, really, and what the message was is coming to the University of Oklahoma is bigger than football, and making a name for yourself at the University of Oklahoma is a lifelong achievement because long past what you do on the football field, period, regardless. If you do it at the University of Oklahoma, you're always taken care of. You can always come back. There's always going to be multiple opportunities. And you're coming to learn to be more than just a better football player. You come to learn to be a better person. Everybody on our panel was married men. And I think Tommy Harris, unfortunately, because his wife passed away, had been married the least. But I think he's been married, I think Tommy said 5 to 8 months. Everybody else is 3 years and up. So we're grooming the right type of men when you come to the University of Oklahoma. And honestly, for me, it was like, if you question whether we can win in the SEC, last time I checked, our head coach got 2 national championships as a defensive coordinator, and both of those was versus SEC teams. Isaac, your dad record versus the SEC, I mean, it's impeccable.
Speaks for itself.
really, it was like, hey, listen, if we consider ourselves one of the best schools in the country, we don't consider ourselves one of the best schools in the Big 12. We consider ourselves one of the best schools, period. So if you're one of the best schools, period, why does the conference matter? So that was really my message to them. And I'm very blunt and straightforward. Hey, man, if you don't want to be here, don't come. If you're here now, you worry, you can go. Like, that's as I am, man. I don't beat around the bush, and I stand on business with my school. So.
Nah, I love it too. And, everyone talks about the D-line play, especially in the SEC and the transition on how it's going to be. Kind of talk about not necessarily just BV, but us, retooling our D-line and the transfer portal in recruiting. You kind of, there's starting to be a trend of the type of D-linemen like yourself, for instance, who BV, used to recruit and, got to the University of Oklahoma. So kind of, if you can, speak to that.
Yeah, well, I mean, not only just the offensive line, I mean, the defensive line, the offensive line as well. When we went to the national championship in 2008, we played Florida. Right before we went down to Florida, ESPN came out with or Sports Illustrated, came out with a top 5 O-line, top 5 D-line, top 5 receivers, all that cores across the country. and we had the number one ranked O-line and D-line, which was a testament to how good our team was. It starts with the guys up front. So BV being a defensive-minded coach, Isaac, your dad being a defensive-minded coach, they knew, hey, listen, if we're going to win, we can score a lot of points, but if we can't stop nobody, it don't matter. So they knew in order to stop people on defense, we got to get the right guys up front because they make everything easy on everybody. At my camp, that same weekend, I told the defensive line, this is the most important group on the team because if you have a dominant defensive line, it makes it easier on everybody. Okay, the first thing most people do is run the ball. If they can't run the ball, they go to pass. If you got great pass rushers and they can't get the pass off, then you're getting a lot of 3 and outs. They're not moving the ball that much, which gets your explosive offense more opportunity. So if your defensive line is dominant, then that makes everything easier on both sides of the ball. But they're not just bringing in great defensive linemen. They're working on bringing in great offensive linemen. But it's a collective effort through all 3 phases. But obviously I'm biased to the D-line and understand that if you got a dominant D-line, then you can dominate the game. So bringing in the right guys is perfect for us going into the SEC. Sorry about this truck behind me, y'all. So if it's a little loud, forgive me.
We can't hear it.
Oh, you're all good. Can't hear it at all. But
Yeah.
you just spoke on it, how important it is to build both sides in the trenches for that play in SEC. You got to be able to roll another guy out when one guy goes down. That's the difference between playing at Georgia and Alabama and playing somebody in the Big 12. You know, they might got three or four dudes. They got 10, 12 dudes that they can roll out at any given time.
Yeah, for sure.
You just alluded to it, but how important was OU to go into the SEC with a defensive-minded coach such as Coach Venables versus, you know, maybe the previous regime? But just talk about how important his culture, his mindset, and his plan is for OU to go into the SEC versus, you know, a different.
Well, there's no version of football he hasn't seen, from Big 12 to ACC to the SEC. He's seen it all, and he knows what brand of football is necessary to win championships. So even though OU was a part of Big 12, or when he was at Clemson, he was a part of ACC, or now we're moving into the SEC, he's coached teams that have competed and won at the highest level. So he understood what was necessary going into competing against the SEC. That's why him being at Clemson, both national championships he won, he played SEC teams. So he's competed against them and knows if we want to beat them, we have to have the right type of guys, the right type of defense, the right type of defensive lineman, the right type of mindset. He did it when he was at OU, when they competed and we played against SEC teams. He's seen the type of style football they played in the SEC. So he knows, okay, if we're going to continue to be dominant as a school, this is how we need to go into this with this mindset with these type of players. So BV is honestly the perfect coach we could have had because he's seen and done it all. But not only him, I want to give a little shout out and credit to somebody that nobody had, and his name is Jerry Smith. What Smitty has been able to do, the term Smitty build is a real thing. What Smitty has been able to do with us when he was there before is why our mindset and toughness was so different than everybody. We never went to a game feeling like a team was going to beat us on toughness or endurance or we was going to lose because of fatigue. If we ever lost, we just didn't execute. And that's a great thing to be able to hang your hat on when you're competing, especially the SEC. You're going to play a lot of tough games. There's going to be a lot of tough-minded kids and teams. So when you got a guy like Jerry Smith who's grooming these guys before they even touch the field and start putting game plans together, that collectively with BV and what Smitty's doing with his group, it's the perfect combination, the perfect storm going into the SEC.
Yeah, obviously somebody who you can speak to toughness. You played in all 40 games, I think, in your career at Oklahoma, and two-year captain. Obviously, one of the not one of the only, but there's not that many consensus first team All-Americans. If you can kind of what does that mean to you? Because like you said, alluded to it earlier. After all the it's all said and done, the accolades aren't what you're gonna always remember. It's your time at OU and the coaches and the players you played with. So just what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's incredible, man. Like being from Oklahoma City, my house doorstep to Norman is 20 minutes from where I grew up. So I remember in Little League, when in 2000, when the team was going to the national championship, my Little League team was going to the national championship, and they let us come watch practice. And we went to the middle of the field, and I have a picture of this. I'll post it later. And I took a picture with in my stance, and I was looking around the stadium. I told my dad, I said, "Hey, Pops, I'm gonna play here one day." He was like, "Son, it's gonna take a lot of work, but I believe you can do it." And I was able to accomplish that goal, man. Growing up in Oklahoma, we don't have a pro football team. OU was our pro football team. Now, some people like Kansas City, some people like the Cowboys. I know one thing: you either feel two ways about the Cowboys. You either love them or you hate them. You grow up in Oklahoma, that's just how it is. But it's not. It's like 95-5 to OU versus OSU. It is what it is. So you grow up, you love the University of Oklahoma. So to have an opportunity to just one play there, but to leave your mark at that university, it was leaving my mark at that university. I know it sounds crazy, was more important to me than leaving my mark in the NFL, because the NFL, you never know who you're gonna play for, on what team's gonna draft you, how your career is gonna end up. But when you go to the University of Oklahoma or any university, yes, they come offer you an opportunity. But when you go to a college, you choose them. The NFL chooses you. You don't get to choose what team you play for. I chose that university, so I set out to leave my mark on that university. And for people to tell me you accomplished that goal, it means everything to me.
A guy who grew up, went to Southeast High School, South Oklahoma City. Shout out South Chartel.
Mm-hmm.
I went to high school right close there. Drove by Southeast every day. Looked at that, I was like, Gerald McCoy went there. I do that every time. Every day. If there was somebody in the car, I was like, here's a little fun fact. Was it always Oklahoma? I mean, you said when you were a kid that you went and you took that picture, but was it during recruiting?
Nobody else.
Yeah, it wasn't nobody else. It wasn't nobody. So I remember Coach Stoops would call me and say, "Hey, G, I know you saying that we number one, but you're making me nervous because you giving everybody else the opportunity to get an official visit. I just want to get you down for an official visit." I'm like, "Coach, they have to beat you out. I don't need to come down there for an official visit. There's nothing y'all can show me that's going to make me want to be there more." And he'd be like, "I don't know, just making sure. I'll go visit USC. Are you sure you don't want to come down for an official visit?" We just said, "Coach, trust me. There's nothing else I can see that can make me love that school even more." So for me, I just enjoyed the recruiting process. Now, there was a time where I contemplated going to USC because they sold me a dream. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a huge Kobe fan. I'm a Lakers guy. This is Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart era. I got off the plane at LAX, and there was a billboard of Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart at LAX. If you ever been to LA, you know how big a deal that is. That's Hollywood. So why would they have college kids with a billboard? But it was a billboard of Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart. When we was at the game, Snoop was there, and we went to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, and we going all these different places and doing all this stuff. They sold me a dream. I'm not gonna lie to you. They almost had me. I would be a lie to tell you they didn't. But then I said, "Come on, G. Let's be realistic. Do you really want to go all the way to LA?" And I said, "Come on, man. It's one school for me," and that's where I ended up.
And you made history doing so. You were one of three players drafted in the top 5. You, Sam, and Trent. Do you still keep up with those guys and some of the other guys you played with?
Yeah, of course, man. I talked to Trent right before the Super Bowl. And then Sam actually worked my football camp last year. He was supposed to work this year, but he went home with his family. But he was supposed to be at my camp again. And then Jermaine is the same Jermaine I knew in college. He around. And there'd be times we'd go knock on Jermaine's door, and he wouldn't answer. And then the door would be unlocked, and you would open it, and he would be standing there playing his video game. He'd be like, "Bro, why don't you tell us we can come in?" He'd be like, "Y'all know the door is open. Why don't you just come in?" That's Jermaine. So, and he's the same way. You would text him, and he sees your text. It's just like, he'll respond when he won't. But we all keep in touch, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny too, because he's from Ardmore, you're from
Yeah.
Oklahoma City, and Sam's also a Putnam City North kid. So to have all three of
Yeah.
three guys drafted as high as you guys were, all from Oklahoma, I mean, it
Yeah.
definitely has not happened since.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of influence on Oklahoma players, fans, coaches, so on, just through your gratitude, your attitude, and stuff. But what's somebody, whether that be a football influence, a life influence, who's had a big influence on you?
Well, I could start. I mean, obviously, I have to start with my parents. Obviously, what how they raised me. But I could. I mean, if I start talking about my parents, we'd be here all day. But like influences, initially, one of my first mentors was Tommy Harris, the defensive. He was. I think who Tommy Harris was to not just the University of Oklahoma, but college football as a whole, I think is very, very underrated and very unappreciated. 18-year-old kid was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and he was a defensive lineman. He wasn't a quarterback. And he was 3-time first team All Big 12, 2-time first team All American. He won the Lombardi. He was Lovie Smith's first ever draft pick in the NFL. Like, the things this guy was able to do in college is just mind-boggling from the defensive tackle position. And I actually called Joe C. and said, why is this guy not in the College Football Hall of Fame? And he said, he don't know either. So that's just my little spiel on Tommy Harris. But he was my first initial mentor, like as far as football and, my career goes. And then get to NFL. Warren Sapp played a big role in my life with helping me adjust to the NFL, because when I got to the NFL, we didn't have really vets. And, I was searching, like, okay, trying to learn how to be a pro. And Sapp took me under his wing, and, he's become like my big brother. And then, this guy sprinkled here and there. Davin Joseph was the offensive lineman for OU, just for having to be in Tampa. He helped me out. Drew Brees, my trainer that I trained with in San Diego, Todd Durkin. I mean, the list goes on and on. Surprisingly, a basketball player, Vince Carter. Vince Carter was a huge Bucs fan, and I wore one of his throwback jerseys one day, and our owner's assistant was like, hey, I know Vince. I used to work for him. I'm like, yeah, well, tell him to come to practice. And he showed up to practice. Like, well, God dang, and he's become one of, like, Vince Carter texts me on my birthday. I'm from the south side of Oklahoma City. And Vince Carter texts me on my birthday, and I always tell him, bro, do you realize who you are? He's like, he's one of the most humble people I've ever been around. So, those are some of the people who have mentored me and played a huge role in my life as far as my career in football goes.
I was a name that came to mind, and he's not older than you or probably played that much of an influence, but in 2009, I mean, I was only, I guess, 10 years old, but Adrian Taylor, he had he had a rough injury. And is he like one of the best players you've ever played with that didn't get a chance to, make it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my best friend in this world, man. Me and Adrian, when we speak on each other, when I introduce him to my people, or he introduced me to his, we always introduce each other as, this is my brother, that's my brother. Only thing make us closer is blood. And, I remember when he broke his ankle in the Sun Bowl, that being my last game, that was tough for me because, we went through the fire together with same high school class, and, we came up through the ranks together. And I started playing before him in 2007, but he got a little run. But after that, it was me and him. Every game, it was me and him. We were roommates. We did everything together. So when he didn't have an opportunity to, he didn't get drafted, large part due to his injury, didn't rehab it properly, and still played a little bit, still made his impact. But he actually got signed to the Seahawks. He went for a workout and got signed, but he didn't make it to training camp. And I just feel like he's one of those people who would have had one of those long NFL careers had he stayed healthy. He was really the catalyst to our defense being what it was because he anchored the middle, and nobody could run the ball on us because he anchored the middle of that defense. And I just hate that happened. But yeah, Adrian Taylor, man, us competing and trying to outdo each other every day was a big motivator for me. Like, I got to outdo this guy. Adrian's one of the most athletic big guys I've ever been around. When we got to college, we tested all our 40s and all this. He didn't run a super fast 40. He didn't have a far broad jump. But this guy at 300 plus pounds had a 38-inch vertical. I had never seen nothing like that. A 38-inch vertical, standing vertical, not this NBA run and jump and swipe vertical. A standing 38-inch vertical. That's how athletic he was, man. He got injured, then had an opportunity to play at the next level. But yeah, Adrian Taylor for sure.
That'd be a guy I'd like to bring on my team to the Huff to go hoop a little bit. You get the boys rounded up, hoop at the Huff.
Look,
you need that as a five-man.
Is that
I'm doing an interview with Isaac. This is Marcellus.
Yeah, what up, Sal?
He just came.
I haven't seen him in a minute.
Hey, congrats on Toledo. Congrats. We'll be watching.
They said congrats. You can't hear him because they might hear him. They said congrats.
Yeah, congrats.
Yeah, he just got here. We at the, like I said, we at the splash pad. But one person that I would be remiss if I didn't mention, obviously Coach Stoops, BV, but one person who is a vital part in who I became as a player, not only a student, man, player, but just overall person, is Jackie Shipp.
Coach Shipp.
Yeah. He did so much for so many men's lives that goes unnoticed and untalked about. But if you were in those buildings, in those locker rooms, in those meetings and on that field, you know how important Jackie Shipp was to Dusty Dvorak, Tommy Harris, Gerald McCoy, Adrian Taylor, KK, all these, Lynn Magruder, all these people that have come through University of Oklahoma that everybody loves and remembers. Jackie Shipp is the reason that y'all love the play and how we play. That guy, I mean, it was like playing for you. Okay, listen, I be telling these kids, y'all got it so good to go from Smitty to Jackie Shipp and then BB and then to top it off with Bob Stoops. I'm like, listen, we didn't have no breaks. There was no way to fail. So you got summer workouts with Smitty and his whole crew. That sucks. Then you got meetings with BV, who when you meet as a group, that sucks. And then you go to your position group, Jackie Shipp, that sucks. And then you think you got a break, the head coach over all of it, that sucks. So it's like, God dang, you can't get a break. But it made us great. So everybody collectively, but individually in our defensive line room, Jackie Shipp, man, I would be remiss not to bring him up.
Yeah, if you got those type of people around you, you got no option. But
you have no. This is me. If you didn't have any type of success, whether it was team success, individual success, in the classroom, in my time of being there, I can't speak for everybody else's time. But in my time of being there with a program ran by Bob Stoops, with Brent Venables at the helm, with the coaches we had at the helm, with Smitty, between Coach Stoops and Smitty, everybody in between, with Joe Castiglione running it, I can't speak for everybody else's time. My time. If you didn't have some form of success, whether in a classroom, individually as a team, it's on you. Because they gave us all the tools necessary and they did not let us mediocre was unacceptable to any of them. They did not let us slouch. They did not let us slack. And if you had any type of potential, they were going to get every ounce of it out of you. So knowing what they did for me as a whole, that's why I feel the way I feel about my university. And that's why I tell these kids, man, hey, listen, I told BV, don't have me come down there and talk to these kids if you don't want me to tell them the truth. Because I'm going, hey, listen, don't bring them to me. Because if they don't have the certain, like what we need here, go, man. I told them in the meeting, I was in the meeting, talked to the whole team. I said, hey, listen, you can't handle this, get out. I said, BV, I'm sorry, I'm talking to them like this, but I told you before you brought me, if you can't handle what we are here, a standard has been set at the University of Oklahoma, and it's been set way before Coach Stoops. He used to tell us, This university is bigger than me and all my successes. It was set way before me, and it was passed down generation to generation, year after year after year. If you do not want to live up to that standard and be what is a part of being a football player at the University of Oklahoma, do not come here. And if you're here now, you can't handle it, it's okay. You can go. We'll win with who we got. And that's just my message, and that's what I stand on. I don't think it's no university better than mine, and that's never going to change for me. Win, lose, or draw, my beat don't change, my energy don't change. It's just how I am.
That's pretty powerful. Yeah. I feel motivated right now. If somebody doesn't watch that, gone to the University of Oklahoma and hear that, like, you got no option but to go out and speak it. You're such a beloved Tampa Bay Buccaneer. How fun would it had it been for you to play with Baker and now Shipp, who are both? And how cool is it for you to watch them? I know you're at the playoff game last year. I just can't imagine y'all's two personalities on the sideline, different sides of the ball.
Yeah, I know, man. Listen, if me and Baker could have been, listen, that's not there was a reason. Okay, God don't make mistakes, and that's one he didn't make. He knew if I got Baker on one side of the ball and Gerald on the other side of the ball, y'all gonna get a show. Y'all definitely gonna get a show. And they knew, like, we were gonna be focused, but he knew it'd probably be too much. People couldn't handle it. It'd be too much. But I'm excited to see those guys get back together, man. Sometimes the last time Tampa won, when Tom Brady came in, and I'm not comparing Tom Brady and Baker. What I am, I'm comparing really good players and guys who, when they know who they are and they know what they're capable of, just need a little something. Okay. In order for Baker said going into last season, everybody gave me a hard time. Everybody questioned my play, but people forget that I was injured. I haven't had time to work on my game. I haven't had time to improve. I've just been rehabbing. Well, I'm healthy. I will show everybody. And he did that. You got Mike Evans, who I believe is a Hall of Famer. You got Chris Godwin, who's been dominant. You got Rashad White at running back. Now, Baker has earned the right to say exactly what Tom Brady said. Hey, if you want me to be at my best, just give me a couple people. He brought in Gronk, who's on the top 100 team in the NFL, obviously a Hall of Famer. But he brought in AB. He brought in all these players and said, give me these guys and watch what happens. Baker earned the right to say that. He said, hey, listen, called up Shipp. Hey, you got another one in you? Sure. For you, let's do it. It is nothing more important than chemistry with a wide receiver. If you look at the best tandems, why do you think Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are so good? Individually, yes, they're really good. Together, they're great. That's just what happens. When you have a great tandem, I mean, you can go down the list. Marvin Harrison and Peyton Manning, Gronk and Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Like, it goes on and on and on. Anybody with Drake Stoops, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. So, point I'm making is when you get one of your guys that you have phenomenal chemistry with and y'all get back together, I mean, that's where you get fireworks, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, hey, I think we might have lost your picture here. So,
wait, hold on.
Okay, I was gonna
Sorry,
say.
I got a phone call. Sorry.
Before we let you,
I got a phone call. Yeah.
Before we let you go back to the hanging out with your kids, what are you doing now? If you don't mind telling us.
Yeah. So last year, I was very blessed to transition out of football much better than most people have, and that is to have something to do. What happens is people leave football where you've had a set schedule nonstop. You get up, you either got workouts or you got class or whatever, and then you got practice and meetings and study hall. And then if you're fortunate enough to make it to the next level, you got meetings, practice, meetings again. That's your day. Get ready for the game. You got a set schedule, travel days, all that. When you leave, you miss all of that structure and the locker room, and it's a tough transition for a lot of people. Well, I was blessed enough I didn't have to sit for long. I had a lot of offers to be on TV prior to retiring, and when I retired, they was like, "Hey, listen, no more excuses. It's time." So I signed with NFL Network last year, and it was like a prove it deal. You know, let's see what you can do. And I did well enough to where I signed an extension, so I'll be back with NFL Network. But also, I have a new opportunity that'll be getting introduced soon. I'll be on a show with Yahoo Sports. and it'll be a remote show. It'll be kind of like, I don't know if you guys have seen Nightcap with Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco, or the Kelseys when they did their show. It'll be similar to that. And we'll just be reviewing football, talking different things, but mainly trying to stick to football. But this is Gerald we're talking about. Obviously, I'm going to venture off because when I start talking, my mind just so. But I'm excited, man. It's going to be me and Kyle Van Noy, and it's going to be a great show. And then I got some other stuff brewing. But right now, I am officially part of the media. So all the people I used to hate, now I get to hate myself.
Hey, that's fantastic to hear. I look forward to tuning in that new show and coming back to NFL Network on our television this year to watching you. So
yeah, of course, man.
Hey, appreciate you coming on.
First stop is Tampa. I have to do some on-site training camp correspondence. So I start in the next couple of weeks, and it's back to work. So
football season's right here.
Yeah.
When you keep saying next month is here, like that's when you start to get over that hump.
Yeah.
Once August 1 hits, we'll be itching a little bit. Hey, Gerald, thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man. Anytime. If I'm free, I got me.
Hey, that'd be awesome. We look
good.
forward to having you back on. For everybody watching, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate you, and remember to keep it in the family.